So what exactly is a spatial table? This is a key concept for effectively using the mappl-io spatial tables app. You can think of a spatial table as a visual way to represent the data that typically lives in a spreadsheet or in a database, but instead of working with rows and columns, you would work with shapes, things such as sticky notes and rectangles and text boxes that represent labels. The best way to understand what a spatial table is by using an example, so let us do that. Imagine that we want to undergo some kind of a prioritization exercise where we want to prioritize things by at least a couple of categories, a should do and a must do. Notice what we just did. We just added a big rectangle with a text box on its top left, and then two smaller rectangles that live inside of it, also with text boxes. You may not have realized it, but we just built a very simple spatial table. Furthermore, we have added a hierarchy. We have a parent prioritization for Q4 category with two child categories, should do and must do. This is in fact one of the main reasons why you would want to use spatial tables, because they allow you to categorize things very easily and visually. mappl-io spatial tables in fact allows you to have up to 5 levels of categories. Let us in fact do that. Let us add more rectangles which would represent additional levels of categories internal to what we already have on the screen. A category for feature ideas and for service ideas in each of the should do and must do rectangles. Now there is another reason why using spatial tables is very powerful, because you can easily change them. Everything is visual, everything is quite intuitive because it is based on shapes, and if you change your mind or if you decide to add something else on a spatial table, you surely can. So let us do that. Let us add another category at the second level, which would be a could do category. In this way, we can start prioritizing things in order of what we should do, what we must do, and what we could do. We would want to subdivide the could do category, the could do rectangle, into a soon and eventually subcategories. Okay, we have gone far enough into building the structure of our spatial table for an illustration example. But there is still a key thing that we are missing. We are in fact missing data in our table. And when we say data in a spatial table, in Miro, we mean sticky notes. So let us add a few sticky notes in the correct places. In this case, we add 5 ideas as the content of 5 sticky notes, and these would eventually end up being roles in our final results table. We are about to do a trick that using the mappl-io spatial tables app makes possible. We would look at the spatial distribution of rectangles and text boxes and sticky notes and convert them to a regular table with a specified structure. Do you see what we just did? We just took the categories from the spatial table, the hierarchy of categories there, and we converted them to columns in a regular table, where we have a top level category, a second level category, a third level category, all represented as columns, in addition to a column that represents our sticky notes, our data. All we have to do now is repeat the same steps for ideas B, C, D, and E, and fill up the correct categories in our table. Once we do this, we are ready to go further. Once you get to the table view window in our spatial tables app, you will be able to see that you will be able to sort data in addition to filter data and a few other things that you can do there. This allows you to refine your selection before you move on to the last step, which is exporting the data as a CSV file. And you can think of this step as completing the circle. We started off with a visual representation of a table, which is great for coming up with ideas, changing things, collaborating with people. And then we finally ended up to a stage where we are exporting our table, our regular table, in a way which can be opened by other applications. And this is great because in that way you can store the results of numerous exercises like the one we just did, or collaborate with people better by enabling things such as comments, or building databases of projects which can be tracked. You should check out some of the examples in our app to see how spatial tables can be used in practice.